Well, given that that is the case, we'll probably have more people just come on board. Yes, over the coming, hopefully they'll still jump on, but otherwise, welcome everybody. It's really lovely. We haven't done a Zoom session for quite some time. Hi, I'm Natalie Isaacs. I'm the founder of 1 Million Women, and I would love it if you could just, I know you can leave your videos off if you would like for the whole thing, but I love to see everyone's face. So if you would just throw your video on and let's all say hello to each other, and we'll throw it on gallery mode, and we can just all say hello. So it'd be really nice. Hello. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you all. And yeah, um, I'm speaking to you. Hi, everybody. You can scroll across. And it'd be really lovely if you would like in the chat just to say hello and where you're from. And so I am speaking to you tonight from the beautiful Wollongong. I am in Dharawal country, and I would like to pay my respects to the elders past, present, and future. And I live in a beautiful spot here in the Illawarra. I am sandwiched between the escarpment and the Pacific Ocean, and it is a very beautiful place to live. And every time I step out the door, I think about the relationship that I have with the earth. And I think that it is one thing for us all to always remember that beautiful relationship that we have with the earth, and to feel that in our hearts, not just articulate that in our heads. And it's something that has stuck with me right from when I started 1 Million Women 15 years ago, because once I really felt climate change and my power as an individual and our power as a collective, once I felt that in my heart, it was so much easier to change the way that I lived. And so thank you all so much for being part of tonight's session about getting off gas, and all your questions on electrification hopefully will be answered by our very special guest. And I just wanted to give you a little recap. I know that we've had some we've nearly got 3,000 women now that have joined our Women Power program, which is really wonderful. 3,000 was our target, and we are so close to getting there. So thank you all very much for being on this journey with us. We have been doing quite a lot of work over the last few months. Some of you would have come to our Festival of Solutions, where we celebrated our 15 years, which was such a joyous event filled with optimism and hope. And the main thing, climate solutions on how we live. And since then, we've been doing a lot of work that I would love to share with you all, particularly around our policy ask. I'm sure if you've been getting our monthly newsletters, you will have seen that we have created a policy ask. It's called 1 Million Women, 1 Million Households Electrified. And we are calling on federal and state governments to, over the next term of government, so that is over the next 3 years, to support 1 million more households to electrify, to support with incentives, with rebates, with energy upgrades, whatever it takes to help another million women to get solar on our rooftops, all those things to help us get another million households electrified over the next term of government. And that is 10% of all the households in this country. And we've done a lot of work talking to the experts and to policymakers to, to feel confident that our policy ask is tangible, and it is achievable. And also, it has to happen. It has to happen so that we can stay on track to reach our climate targets and to get our 11 million homes electrified over the next, over the next decade. So we're really passionate about this piece of work, and we're really dedicated to making it happen. Now, we sent out, so there's a couple of things that's related to this. In February of 2025, we're taking a delegation of 20 plus more, if we can, women to Canberra, women across the country, women in our Women Power program that really represents the women of Australia. And we're going to have meetings with politicians to talk about our policy asks and to share our stories, our real stories about the challenges and the wins and what we're doing in our lives and what are the barriers to getting our households electrified. We're going to put on an event at Parliament House, inviting politicians, other stakeholders, and a crew of our Women Power cohort to really accelerate what we're doing. So more on that later, and we'll be sending out lots of information about it. And so that's one big thing we're doing. And the other thing is next month we're doing training for you all, anybody that wants to be part of it, it's a training session, and there'll be a few of them to help us know more about our policy ask and about how we can engage our own local politicians on it and share our stories about electrification with them. And so that when we go to Canberra and we're having these meetings, we have women across the country also having meetings with their MPs. We sent out an email the other day asking you guys to support our policy ask. We want to go to Canberra in February with 10,000 signatures. So the more women that support us, the more momentum we have with our meetings with our politicians. And so we're really excited about this piece of work. We're really grateful that you're part of the program, and we will keep you posted, or you can get involved in whichever way you want every step of the way to Canberra in February. So, okay, that's it from me for now, giving you an update on where we're at. I want to throw over to Bree, the wonderful Bree, who is our Women Power campaign manager, and Bree is going to talk a little bit more, introduce our special guest, and yeah, we'll get things rolling. So thank you so very much, and over to you, Bree.
Thanks, Nat. And yeah, we're really excited to have you all here. As you know, and I know I've seen a lot of the same names popping on every time, so I'm really grateful that yeah, a lot of you are getting something out of these sessions and coming and really engaging with the guests and the people that we have, these experts who know a lot and can really share with you. So we thought that this session would be great to bring on Goodbye Gas, because electrification is their bread and butter and it's kind of everything they do. It's their one goal. So we're very aligned in that. And I think, we're talking a lot about different ways that we can go about things, and Goodbye Gas are a situation or a company or an organization that really want to make it easy for you. So it is with my greatest pleasure that we're going to welcome Marcella, who is the representative from Goodbye Gas. And she is a trained architect with a master's degree from Monash. She's had many years of experience in this field, and she works at Goodbye Gas as, what's your role, sorry?
I'm head of operations.
Head of operations. Yeah, so welcome, Marcella.
Thank you so much. Do you guys want me to start now? I can start.
Yeah, I can throw it.
Okay. Let's go. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to speaking to everyone about electrification. And I don't know how you guys want to set up the questions, but if anyone has any questions, please just get them going in the chat, because I'd love to sort of help you as much as I can while I'm here. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you guys can see that.
Looks good.
Cool. Okay, thank you. I know Natalie's already done an acknowledgement of country, but I'd like to acknowledge that I'm from Melbourne, so I'm on Wurundjeri country at the moment, and I'd like to respect the traditional custodians of the land on which I work. So Goodbye Gas. Goodbye Gas it's a home electrification service company. We came together, I suppose, at the start of 2022, where I suppose there are four of us who have started the company. Ben, who's an electrician, Pete, who's in the energy and sustainability space, Jeremy, who is an architect, and me, also in architecture. We all had a common goal. Our common goal is to get every house in this country off gas as quickly as possible. And we thought the best way to do that was to make it as effortless as possible for everyone. So I suppose talking about why we're all here, I think we know why we're all here. We're here because we know we're in a climate emergency. And we're here because we all want to act. And we really want to feel empowered to do that. So having all the knowledge we possibly can to go into home electrification or any other impact you want to have in sustainability with as much knowledge as possible. So I suppose I'll sort of talk a little bit about why I'm here and why I'm working with Goodbye Gas. I started my career as an architect, as mentioned, and a great architecture practice that delivered sustainable buildings, 100% electric, in the residential space. Architecture is fantastic, but it's also quite slow in the way that it operates. And I wanted to see impact happen faster. And I thought that I could see more of that in the electrification space because we can turn over, get homes off gas much quickly than a 4 or 5 year project. But this information is really important to me, and it's why I sort of moved over to Goodbye Gas. So buildings contribute to 37% of total global carbon. So that means that the buildings that we deliver, that we put up, that we live in are contributing to almost 40% of all the carbon in the atmosphere. And of that carbon, 27% of that is related to building operations. So that's how we pump energy into our buildings, mostly gas. And then the last 10% is related to embodied carbon. So the carbon in the materials and the products and materials that we use. This was very jarring at sort of a point in my career. And I was like, wow, operational carbon is insane. We have to electrify as quickly as possible. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to talk about building operations and how we can get carbon out of our building. I've broken it down into 3 simple steps. The first thing I want to talk about is electrification. Electrify, electrify, electrify. Let's go. And I'll talk about how we do that at Goodbye Gas. Also to talk about 100% renewables. So how to purchase solar, wind, just renewable power. And then how you can say goodbye gas for good. So to really drive it home. Okay, let's start with electrification. So there are lots of questions that sort of come to us day to day on electrification from different people with different concerns. But these are the ones that come up quite a lot. So I thought I'd try and sort of work through them with everyone. So the first one is, what appliances should I get off gas? What should I do first? What are the best electric alternatives? What trades do you need? What niggly things to look out for that you wouldn't often think about? And how much does it cost to do it? Feel like having knowledge in these areas will really set you up to either do electrification on your own or to feel empowered to speak to trades or companies like Goodbye Gas or other companies that are doing a similar thing to be able to get the outcome that you want. So what appliances should you get off gas? Typically, there are 3 appliances in a home that use gas. The first one is your hot water. The second is your heating and cooling. And the third is your cooking. I think the hot water and the heating and cooling are the ones that aren't so in your face all the time because they often sit outside your house. But the cooktop is the one that sits inside your house, so you often know that it's there and it kind of triggers probably, I've got gas in my house, should I get off it? There's obviously a whole bunch of research now that's come out that's saying that it's not healthy to have gas burning in your home that combusts into methane, and that's not great for people with asthma and for children. Those are the appliances we typically replace, mostly because like getting homes off gas and to be 100% electric is the first step. The next step is to look into how you power your home. So is it by renewable energy? Do you have solar and battery, et cetera, et cetera? If you're looking at what you should do first, that's kind of the way we speak about it with people. We're like, okay, first step, electrify your home. Get everything off gas. Understand your power usage over 3 to 6 months, so you know your peak energy usage, and then you can design a solar and battery system to suit your home or your needs. So looking at those three things, cooktop, hot water, heating and cooling. If you need to break that down further, so for whatever reason, you know, you've got a budget for a certain amount, so you can only do one thing at a time, that's completely fine too. One step at a time is perfect. From our experience, the most effective thing you could do is switch over your hot water. The next thing to do would be looking at your heating and cooling and finding more efficient ways to do that. And then the third thing would be your cooking. Getting your cooking off gas or getting your last appliance off gas also means that you can cut off your gas service. So that means you're not paying a service fee to have gas pumped into your home. You probably save yourself between $300 and $400 a year just by having that off gas. I'm very nervous. My cat is going to jump in front of the screen. I'm so sorry. And she is. Please go away. And then what are the best electric alternatives? So heat pumps are the most efficient way to heat and cool anything, water, air, whatever it is. So when we're talking about heat pumps, we are not only talking about it for hot water, but we're also talking about it for heating and cooling. Heat pump tanks, there's so many different brands out there. Like, I think you guys have had, whoever was here last time would have spoken to Reclaim, there's Emerald, there's Stiebel Eltron, there's just iStore, so many. They all have their little differences, but in the end, they kind of all do the same thing. The biggest things I'd be looking out for would be the literage, so how big the tank is. So just like how much water you need for your house. I typically look at that based on bedrooms. The next thing to look out for is their power consumption. So do they have an element? If they have an element, you'll typically need a dedicated circuit. Other heat pumps that don't have elements, you can plug into a power point, generally less expensive to install. Most heat pumps that are eligible for rebate meet a certain set of standards that are set by the government. So any of those ones should be fine to install. But I can understand that it can get a bit confusing. For heating and cooling, split systems every time, the most effective way to heat and cool space from a cost perspective and environmental perspective. I can appreciate that people probably don't always want a big split system sitting in their living room, but from an efficiency perspective, they're the best way to do it. And then there's sort of ducted heating and cooling and those other things as well, but they sort of lose their efficiency just based on the way that they're set up. And then induction for cooking. If anyone has induction, it's the best. I love it. One of the things I love about it is that you can just wipe it down like this. So if you make a mess, you can clean it up really easily. But also like it's got great temperature control, so it's just a great alternative and can also be like confused with old electric technology, but that's completely different. So there's a big difference between electric cooktop and induction cooktop. What trades will you need? So lots of different trades for different things. I think there's a sort of conception around electrification that you'll only need an electrician, but you're also going to need a gas plumber. You're going to need your electrician, of course, but you'll need a gas plumber. Sometimes you'll need an air conditioning specialist. You might need a stone cutter. You might need a plasterer. There are a whole bunch of people involved in making this happen. So that's also something to look out for when you're looking to electrify. Like if your electrician is coming around to install your cooktop and they're like, oh, I'm actually going to need a plumber to cap the gas. Something to look out for if you're looking to do that on your own. And I suppose a couple of the other things, there are lots of companies around that are also chasing rebates. So often if the price is low, it probably is too good to be true. So just get a few quotes from different people to understand the differences between them. And don't hesitate to ask questions about your quote. Like, just ask as much as you want. It'll also give you a good understanding of the company, why they're in it, sort of all those things. And you can sort of use the intuition to pick and choose which one you think is best for you. And then how much does it typically cost? So from our experience, the typical home costs $13,000 to electrify, but that includes cooktop, heating, cooling, and hot water. So that's probably a lot of information, but I will keep going. Next step, renewables. So scenario, you've electrified your home, you've got off gas, and now you're like, okay, how am I going to power my home? If you don't have solar, so you're not generating your own renewable power, the next best thing would be to buy green power. The way that you do that is by calling your retailer and asking them to switch you over to 100% green power. If they don't have it or they don't source it, find another retailer that does. There are lots of really great ones around. Goodbye Gas are partnered with Momentum Energy. They're powered by Tats Hydro. So they're local to Australia. So you'll know about them as well. But move to a different retailer. And the reason we speak about that is because it's amazing to electrify a home, but the way that you power that home is also super important. So decarbonising that by buying 100% green power can really help. And the reason we're also doing this is to decarbonise the grid. So the more people who are demanding green power, the more green power needs to be produced. And then finally, saying goodbye to gas for good. So abolish your gas meter. So if you've electrified your home, you're 100% green power, and you really want to say no to the gas companies, ask them to come and abolish your meter, or remove it from site, to send a message saying, I don't want gas at this house, not now, not ever. And then finally, with all the 5.8 million homes connected to gas in Australia, that's 27% less carbon in our atmosphere. So that's why Goodbye Gas are here, and that's kind of what we do. So fundamentally, like Goodbye Gas exists to advocate, so to be in these spaces, to be talking about electrification and why it's important, to educate people on how to do it. We're not attached to whether you do it with us or with someone else. We just want it to happen. And like primarily to make electrification easy, so to make it a great and enjoyable journey, something that's really exciting. Yeah. Thank you.
Marcella, I had a question, which is a question that we get asked kind of semi-regularly, or I've had many discussions with people about getting in a tradesperson to do one part of electrification, and then kind of having difficulty with their tradespeople kind of describing why, the tradespeople generally don't understand why we should electrify at all. So do you have any advice on, just how we can kind of talk to our tradespeople and kind of even just have that conversation around what needs to be done and why you want to electrify?
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. There are a lot of trades that aren't educated in the space yet, but there also are some that are educated and want to be a part of it. So I suppose my first recommendation would be to look for companies that install heat pumps specifically. If not, if you can try and talk to your plumber about, really wanting to install a heat pump, and if they say, oh, it's going to be cheaper to do this, you can say, well, I don't care. This is the product that I want to install. Can you do it or can you not? I feel like they're probably going to try and sell you on it being cheaper to install gas. But I think from an ethical perspective, in the end, it's kind of an intuition thing. So it's like, if this plumber's not going to install, a heat pump for me, I should probably go to one that will. So it could just be as simple as saying, okay, great, thanks for your time, but no, I'm not going to work with you if you want to install a heat pump. But like I said, because of the demand for heat pumps at the moment, there are lots of plumbers that are specializing in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that
And
helps.
Rosemary also said for induction cooktops, do we need to start with an electrician for advice, or do we need to find specialist advice?
Yeah, great question. Yes, it's handy to have an electrician because typically you'll need a dedicated circuit back to your switchboard. The main thing they'll be looking for is if there's enough space in your board. You can also like look at your board and understand it yourself. Usually there's a main switch. If your main switch is around 63 amps or 80 amps, and it's a single phase switchboard, you'll have more than enough space or like more than enough power coming to your house to be able to install an induction cooktop. The main thing is looking for the space. But we found it kind of feels like most people here are from New South Wales, but there are a few people from different places as well. In New South Wales, we found that the boards are a little bit different to in Victoria. So there's often more space in your board, so you should be fine. Just make sure that your electrician is quoting you for a dedicated circuit.
And yeah.
Oh no,
Okay.
just
You go
just
now.
on that. So if your board doesn't have enough power, then what's the next step?
Next step would be to look into a switchboard upgrade or a mains upgrade. So basically what they do is they run literally a larger cable into your house. But your electrician will deal with that for you. They'll book everything.
So I think I think I've got enough space. Somebody else looked at it because I've just had a heat pump installed, hot water heat pump installed. That was easy.
Great.
I knew how to do that. But I sort of feel a bit lost as to who I get to advise what's the best induction cooktop, because my gas cooktop it's not square, it's 60 by 52, so there's only some bit in it. What's a good one? What's a bad one? Do I join choice to find out? And really, it sounds a bit silly, but I don't quite know where to start, whether to ring an electrician or to find somebody. Like, for example, I started off for my heat pump. I've got an Apericus. It's the same Apicus, yeah, because I didn't have room for the condenser because I've already got a air conditioning condenser at the back of my very small villa for the reclaim one. So the person who came to look at it for reclaim said, no, this would be better for me. And it's fantastic. I only had a couple of weeks, but it doesn't make much noise. It's great. It's made in Australia. Can't sell it enough. But that was really easy. But I just feel a bit lost about the cooktop as to who actually to start off talking to.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a good question. So I think there are a few things. Like it's like sort of broken into three parts or two parts, I'd say. The first thing is to sort of work with your constraints. So it's definitely like if you don't have an all-in-one service like Good Bad Gas, you can look into sourcing your own cooktop, which is great, but work with your constraints. So if you have a cutout size that is whatever dimension, and there are only 3 cooktops that fit, pick one of the 3. They're mostly all the same. The biggest differences are the way that you interface with the technology. Once you've purchased that cooktop or you know which cooktop you want to buy, I would then engage an electrician, ask them how much it's going to cost to run a dedicated circuit back to your board, and then ask them if they know any plumbers that can be there on the day to cap the gas to your gas cooktop.
I've got a plumber who's ready to come and do it too.
Oh, great. So
he doesn't approve it. He doesn't approve of doing it. But
but yeah, I'd be like, okay, organize which cooktop you want, get a price for a circuit, make sure the plumber's there on the day to cap the gas, and then just work with your constraints on the cooktop choice, I'd say.
Thank you.
I know Marcella and Rosemary one of I can see Alison right next on my screen. She's right next to you, Rosemary. But Alison, did you want to quickly share your story with induction cooktop? Because I know what you were saying, Rosemary, about, it being like it's one size, and then how do you get an induction cooktop to fit the gas cooktop? And what you were saying, Marcella, you need stone cutters, and it's not, I don't know why there isn't just like the standard this.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely go with one that fits the hole that the gas will come out of. I don't want to get stone cutters involved, but
No, I know, but this is what Alison, did you want to share anything what you were, your story, and then I'll keep quiet.
Hi, everyone. I agree completely with what Rosemary was saying. I sort of still haven't switched mine over because I just don't know where to start. And every time I go to Harvey Norman or wherever and look at them, I just go away thinking I'm even more confused. Because I'm like Rosemary, I have a smaller, well, no, actually a non-standard sized gas cooktop. And I have a stone bench that is not, it's a what do you call it, a man-made stone. So I don't want to cut it because I know now that's cutting that stone is like has the dust, and I'm don't particularly want to have that cut in my house with that dust. And so I'm at a kind of a stalemate as to what I do. So I'm really pleased that you gave us that information. And I guess the hardest thing for me is to find a cooktop that actually fits my space, and that's what's been holding me up the whole time.
Yeah.
One that does.
Have you been able to, the way that I usually do it is by back solving. So I'll look at the product code of just back solving it. So I look at the product code of the existing cooktop.
Yep.
I look at the installation manual, have a look at the cutout, and then go to sort of our list of cooktops.
I can get a smaller one, but I don't want a smaller one because I want to get a bigger.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so I know a smaller one will fit in the space. But anyway, that's just, I was going to say that almost the same as what this problem that Rosemary has.
To be fair,
well,
there are like I understand the stress around cutting composite stone because we've sort of been battling with it as well. But we've got a certified stone cutter that is like licensed to cut composite stones, and they do it really safely. So they do the cut wet, and they literally take all it up with them as they go. So if you look up certified composite stone cutters, they're still allowed to do it because it's legacy. So it's already installed. We're not installing anything new. And it might just be something you have to add into your plan if you're sort of more interested in the type of cooktop that you get or the size of it. And you're sort of like, oh, I'd rather get the cooktop that I want and have my stone bench top cut. So I'm happy at the end of the process. But there are definitely certified companies that are able to do it for you safely.
Perfect. That's great information. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Of course.
We also had another question from Sally that said, hi, are you working in New South Wales now? And would you come to Wagga Wagga?
Great question. Wagga Wagga. Amazing. We have launched a pilot project in New South Wales. So we've electrified, I think, not many homes yet because we're still trying to sort out the process. So no, probably not quite yet in Wagga, but as soon as we are, we will let you know. Just keep an eye out on our website because we do post updates there, and also on our Instagram as well. In saying that, we have, if you want some advice or just need some help, please feel free just to give us a call. You can book a free call online for 10 to 15 minutes, and we're happy to answer any of your questions. And we're also happy to do video calls for you where we kind of sit down one-on-one. You can take us through your house, and we'll sort of basically tell you what to do and give you like a list of appliances to look at, a list of things to do basically. So you're welcome to book a video call as well and sort of talk through it.
Hey, Bree, I was going to just mention to everyone about the slide that Addie did today on the national, the grid, and just talking on your point, Marcella, about, green power. And and that the more pressure we can put on and the more that we, get green power, that obviously accelerates it. And so the peak renewable energy in the grid is between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. And so they are the best times for everybody, whether you have solar or you don't have solar. That's the best, that's the peak time for using energy in the home.
Yeah, I think it's about 61 to 65% renewable at that time, here, give or take. And then yeah, like 30% fossil fuel.
Amazing.
But
It's
it'll
probably
be
coming
nice.
from,
Oh,
sorry, I was going to say, it's coming from everyone's rooftop solar. That's awesome. That they're sending back.
but
That's
yeah,
a great point.
great to see that there's still we're still benefiting from renewables even if you can't have solar. And then yeah, obviously the green power is a great option too. And yeah, I've definitely done it in my rental and it's very easy. So I would recommend everyone looking into it if you are renting or you can't get solar.
It's actually a good point for something to do for renters. Definitely get on green power. That would be the first thing.
Yeah, did we have any more questions? I had one down as well. I just went through a whole bunch of like,
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
frequently asked questions. In your opinion, what do you think is like the hardest stage of electrifying?
Oh, a good question. Definitely coordination, now that I think about it. So coordinating all the trades on the same day at the same time is basically the core of our job. So we try and take all of that, alleviate all of that pressure from you. That's on us. But yeah, that would probably be the most challenging part.
Another question that I had is it expensive to get off gas? Is it expensive to, disconnect?
Abolish a meter. In New South Wales, I think it still is. In Victoria, they've just, like, I think it was it was the start of this year, they announced that they capped the abolishing of the meter at $240 or something. So it honestly shouldn't cost more than that to abolish your gas meter. If your retailer comes back to you saying it's going to cost thousands of dollars or $1,700 or whatever it is to abolish a meter, just say, cool, no worries. Can you please stop my service and stop me paying my service fee? So you don't have to abolish if it's still astronomically expensive. Yeah, the other thing you can do is say, just please cap the gas in my meter and please stop my service. And that'll have the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's such an important thing to do, and our households are like superpowers, really. And the biggest question that we had right back at the beginning with Bree and Alison and all of us, once we started working on this was, well, if you're electrifying, if we're getting off gas and we're electrifying our homes, but we don't have solar yet, then aren't we just getting, we're just using coal? But the thing is, we have to have 100% renewable grid. And if we still have gas, no matter what happens, we'll still be having fossil fuels in our house. And so, every time something breaks, that's such a good time to make sure that we're using our money wisely and getting the right appliance for the home. So yeah, thank you, Marcella, for all that information.
No, of course, you're very welcome.
I did what you were talking about, that you are there to to help everybody out and to navigate all of this. I did want to do a big shout out to one of our latest partners who is on the call as well, from Equity Solar, and Mamoun. And so everybody, our next session will be about solar. and that's what Equity Solar does. That's what their company does. They help us all navigate the best, solar arrangement on our rooftops. They get quotes for us. They help to, really help to answer those questions. What is the best potential for our rooftop? So we're very proud and excited to have them on board with our Women Power program. And so you'll all have to jump on board for the next Women Power session where we have Equity Solar. They're helping us all navigate our solar story. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Natalie, and I very much look forward to presenting next time.
Yes, fantastic. Welcome to the team, Emily.
Thank you.
We have another question from Camilla as well that says, do you think there will soon be a market for small-scale domestic wind turbines, Marcella?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. That's a great question. I actually genuinely have no idea, but that would be pretty cool. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like I have not heard of this before, but it also sounds like it could be really cool.
Yeah.
I think I saw a news story recently that they're doing it in Germany. So yeah, you can
Awesome.
actually have like a miniature wind farm in your home.
Wow.
But I don't think we've got any in Australia yet.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into it.
I heard that story too, but I did hear it closer to home that somebody did have it on their rooftop. Or anyway, I will find out that story and get back to everybody. So over to you, Bree.
Do we have any more questions for Marcella before we sort of wrap up? One thing I am going to do is, if anyone hasn't, we'd really love you to put your name on our policy ask, because as Nat said earlier in the beginning, all the momentum that we can gain is super helpful, and it really proves, I guess, that women want this and they're really keen to take or make the most of rebates and help and support from the government if it does happen. So I'm going to chuck that in the chat. If anyone hasn't signed it, we'd really appreciate all of this. Wait, I'll chuck it in the chat in a second, but we had another question from Katie who said, what's the best way to reach out to Marcella and Goodbye Gas?
Yes. Definitely our website. It's just www.goodbyegas.com.au. And if you hit the get started button, it'll sort of take you through some prompts and you'll be able to book a call or a video call or whatever you'd like.
But also, if you can't find Marcella, just email us at 1 Million Women and we will put you straight in touch with her.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Hey, the other thing too, did everybody see our nuclear survey that would have come through in the last couple of days as well? We teamed up with the Australian Conservation Foundation, who did a national poll of 6,000 people, and we teamed up with them to do a survey just of our own community, just wanting to get an understanding of what women are feeling about nuclear. And so we'll throw that one up in the chat as well. So you've got two things we need you to do. Put your name to our policy ask so we can go to Canberra with lots of names, and do our nuclear survey.
The policy ask, and I'll put the nuclear survey in there as well. If anyone feels like it, I think it's going to be such a, unfortunately, it's going to be a topic of the election, the federal election next year. So we'll be hearing about it, regardless of if we want to or not.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So what else? What else do we need to tell everybody about? I think that's it. I think we've shared everything, and Yeah, and thank you, everybody. Does anybody want to say anything more before we close off for the night? We're right on time tonight. I'm just going to put it on speak gallery view. Otherwise, if you want to pop your videos back on just to say goodbye and a good wave. Bree, do you want to say anything more?
I just popped the nuclear survey in the chat, that's all. And also there was a comment from Annette who said they're moving next month and the townhouse has gas, so not sure how easy it will be navigating body corporate to change to gas.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a tricky one. Do you want to try and tackle that one, Marcella, before we go?
Not easily, let me tell you.
Yes, where are you?
But we've worked with a few people with body corporates. I suppose the best thing to do is to go with a proposal. So to go to them with all the things you want to do, like if you want to install a heat pump, like have the tech sheet or the spec sheet with you, let them know what size it is, where you want to put it, what the benefits are of doing that. So yeah, I feel like going with something and explaining to them why you want to do it is probably the best way to start. But then there are some things you can do, like your cooktop, that you're not going to have to ask permission for. I feel like the biggest thing will probably be a hot water system. So yeah, just sort of being open and letting them know what you're trying to install or what you'd like to install is probably the best way to approach it.
In New South Wales and Strata, I think, well, that's what my experience was, that the cooktop is cosmetic, so you don't have to get approval. But
I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Everything else, like the heat pump, I had to get the company who was going to put it in to provide all the plans of what they were going to do and where they were going to put the electrics and everything else. Then send that to the strata company. Then they had to send it to the strata committee, who then had to discuss it and approve it. Yes, but it was really fiddly, and it took a lot longer than if I'd been in my own house. And yes, I want that done. Yes. But the
cooktop is okay, is it? Cooktop, you don't have to.
Well, my strata managers say it's cosmetic, as long as it's done by approved people,
Great,
but they don't have any proof of that, so I could just rip out the gas and stick in something myself.
Thanks, Rosemary. That was really a good tip. Yes, so okay, to summarize, we're going to be sending out information for our training session, which will be on the 13th of November. Please jump on board with that. We want to really do some training around media, speaking to the media if you want to, or speaking to your local politicians about the policy ask, that what we're wanting to do, but also to get your story in there as well. So that's coming up on the 13th of November. We'll please share the policy, our Million Homes Electrified policy ask, with all your friends so that we can get more people to sign it, and we'll be sending out more information about the delegation to Canberra, and if you would like to come with us to Canberra, there'll be more information on the process to do that. So yeah, we got lots on. We'll have another session soon on solar, and anything else, Bree?
I think that is summing it all up. But yeah, we're on time, so I think it's a good to end it there. Thanks for jumping on, everyone.
I know what I wanted to say though, really quick. See,
really quick.
See the person just underneath me. I don't know if she's underneath you, but she's underneath me. Jemima, put your hand up. Okay. This is Jemima's last week with 1 Million Women, and she has been with us for 4 years, and we are so desperately sad to see her go, but she has been such a big part of women power. We wish her well. We love her. She will always be part of the 1 Million Women family. So it would be lovely for you all to say a big thank you to, if you put on your audio and just say a big thank you to Jemima, and that we're going to miss her.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jemima.
Thanks, Jemima.
Thank you.
We'll miss you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'll still definitely see your faces because I will definitely be popping up in Women Power sessions all the time and will be a big part of 1 Million Women for as long as I can be, honestly. I love it here and it's such a beautiful community. So thank you all so much for being so fantastic and for, stepping up and acting on behalf of our planet. It's really beautiful to see so many passionate people, and it's been beautiful to be surrounded by so many amazing women for so many years. So thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you, Bree, for another great session. Thanks, Mamun. See you next time. And a big thank you to Marcella and all of you on Women Power. We'll see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty.
That was good.
You want
Like
to
a
stop the
little
recording?
lesson.
Hey.
Did you want
Yeah.
to